Good evening. I'm sitting here at work. Did plan on making this video at home tonight, and I got my camera set up, and I got a notification. Oh, someone's going live, so I jumped into the live chat, and that like ate up my time. And I got a friend of mine who's like trying to solve the Naomi spec video, a piece of the new world. She's convinced that something is in the music, and she's like literally transcribed the music into musical notes, and she's checking for there's a bass drum in there. She's checking for uh, Morse code in the bass drum, and I'm like, okay, sometimes you're too smart, and I think the code is just in the numbers somewhere, but who knows? She's never done any kind of hunts or anything before, so she's going down every avenue. But that's always fun, and I just gotta say I am loving the new watch. I finally got my watch band in. The watch band didn't measure up, so I had to like drill some holes. Everything they lied about the watch band. They said this wasn't genuine leather. Genuine leather, if you don't know, is the lowest grade leather you can get. And they said this was calf skin, and it came and it was stamped genuine leather. So I was disappointed with that, and I was also disappointed with that it didn't measure. It was supposed to be like 170 millimeters, and it wasn't even close. And so that's really tight, but I love my watch, and I'm like every day I'm like, oh, guess what time it is, and I still haven't figured out. I've looked and looked and looked. I'm just going to call it a Seidel. I don't know. Without taking the back off, I'm afraid to take the back off because it is so old. I'm sure there's something on there that identifies what this is. I am digging the watch, and then I still got my Fitbit on my other arm. I did get another package in the mail today. There's a great lack of Mallow cups west of the Mississippi River, and that was a staple growing up in Michigan, and I love them. Every once in a while, the Fleet Farm here sells them, or you might find them at a gas station. But the thing is, when they ship them all the way, because they're made in Pennsylvania, they were made in Ohio at one time, but this box came from Pennsylvania. And when they ship them across country, they're in a truck, and they get hot, and the marshmallow stuff oozes out of the chocolate because it melts, and then it hardens, and it's no fun eating that way. But these came like in a refrigerated box with ice packs. Just like, whoa. So yeah, I did get a great big case of Mallow cups, and I even brought my blood sugar tester tonight because I'm sure I'm gonna be in a coma by the morning. But so some fun things happen, and then last night I'm here at work, and I get a notification someone's going live at midnight, and I thought, and it was Kyle Lazar's and K-Pro, and I'm like, whoa, maybe her water broke or something, but I'm like, something happened, so I went ahead and jumped in. They did like a 2-hour chat, and the big news is Forrest Fenn did announce what state the prize was hidden in. And my state was Montana, and I've said this before. I was within 7 or 8 days of leaving for Montana when this was announced. I actually had leave set up at work. I had my trip planned out. I bought a tent. I was ready to go, and then they announced this, or Forrest announced that it was found. I was like, oh, and I did cancel my leave and everything, so I never did make it out west. I'm planning on now. I love the northern Nebraska area. If you've never been in northern Nebraska, you might think it's boring because it's northern Nebraska, but it's really cool up there. And then as you get into Wyoming and South Dakota, they're like that tri-state area. There's some really cool areas. And so I found a place called Outlaw Cave, and it looked kind of cool. So I think towards the end of August or early September. I don't want to go on Labor Day weekend because that's like everybody's heyday. But I want to get up there and do some camping at this outlaw campground. And there's a nice little river. It looks like a nice place to do some metal detecting and stuff. But yeah, so I am planning on heading west at some point. I miss the mountains. Have you never been to Iowa? I'm in central Iowa, central northern Iowa, and it's just flat. If you want hills or anything, you got to go into a quarry and go down into a hole, and then you can feel like you're by mountains or cliffs or whatever. But yeah, home of James T. Kirk. But future home of James T. Kirk. So anyway, everybody was talking about Wyoming and Wyoming this and Wyoming that, and so I put together a video. I didn't know if it would work or not, so I did a screen capture. So I'm going to put that video up. I did mention that I thought somewhere in the book he mentioned Roosevelt, but I couldn't find any reference to Roosevelt. I think the Roosevelt Arch was a reference to Try the Wheel as kind of a tongue-in-cheek reference because it is half a wheel. And there is a big wagon wheel also in that area. Also in that area, there's an old cemetery. I did want to visit that cemetery, but if I go to where I'm going now, I won't be anywhere near that. But yeah, so I mean, there's just so many things. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and cut to my solve, and this is something I did earlier today, and then I'll come back. So I'm going to go over my solve, and it's short and simple. And like I said, 100 people have thought of this before, and 100 people have searched this area before. Why I thought I would be any different and find something, I don't know. But I do believe what Forrest Fenn said, the first couple of clues you can find on Google Maps, and the rest you have to be in place. So, where warm waters halt, this is the Boiling River, and it's also called the Gardening River. If you come down here, it's called the Boiling River. If I could, come on, pop up name. Yeah, Boiling River. I'm not sure what point it changes its name. That's immaterial. This is the Yellowstone River, and so right there is where warm waters halt. And that's not the only place. This is also the Roosevelt Arch. He mentions that in the story somewhere. I can't recall. And it's also the entrance to Yellowstone Park, but it's also the exit. So, and someone said that like the East Park entrance, that's where warm waters halt because that's where he left the park. This is also where you would leave the park, and it's also where the Boiling River meets the Yellowstone River. And it's also in Gardner. And one of the things that stood out in the book, there's a line in the book that seems out of place, and it's on page 133. And he said there are also other subtle clues sprinkled in the stories. It was vital that nobody share my knowledge about the location of the treasure. 2 people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. And then this next line doesn't really make sense in context of the paragraph. He just throws it in there. I dreamed the other night I had been reincarnated as Captain Kidd and went to Gardner's Island looking for treasure. And Gardner's Island, to me that just jumped out like he went to Gardner to look for the treasure. And so all those things, that's like 3 or 4 things right there that gives you where warm waters halt. When you take it in the canyon down, far but too far, or not far but too far to walk, you come to, I think it's 7 miles or 8 miles. I'm hoping to find it here. So it's not far, but it's too far to walk. And right, I'm getting there. Yep, right here. Oh, where is it? So right here is Brown's Trailhead. So you put in, right there, Joe Brown Trailhead. You put in below the home of Brown. Now I know some people are saying this is Brown's boat launch, so it's a put in. It's also called the Yankee Gym. But on some maps, this is called the Brown Boat Launch. And I think it says it if you look at the signs. So some people were searching this area because that's the put-in. But to me, the trailhead made more sense. And I'm going to explain that in a second. So you put in below the home of Brown. And there's a trail here. And it's just under a mile till you get to the dry creek bed. Right up here. That's just under a mile. And this creek bed here, up the creek without a paddle because there's no, this is dry. There's no water coming out of that. So it's Brown's Creek. I think it says that if you scroll out. Here, maybe if I... Yeah, that's the Joe Brown Creek. And the trail crosses the creek. I lost the trail. See, there's the Joe Brown trailhead. It comes up here and it crosses the creek right about here. And what I did was I measured, if you take this path here and you go this way, and you measure the distance, you see that's 200 feet. And if you measure this distance, to about the same spot, now it's a little bit, let me shorten that a little bit. Right there's about 500 feet. So you're about 200 feet this way and 500 feet this way. And that could refer to people walking up as far as the creek being 500-foot searchers, but people continuing down the path would be your 200-foot searchers. So that's what made me think it was right in here somewhere. So at that point, you have to leave the poem because he said that the first few clues you can find on Google's map, but after that you have to be in the area. So the blaze, I think, would have been spotted in here somewhere. And, it's something you would know when you see it. I still think the blaze, it's kind of a joke, but, you kind of start thinking about it when it's a joke. But, the blaze, I'm looking at the poem here. If you've been wise, the end is ever drawing nigh. So if you read that phonetically, it's like the end is ever drawing an eye. So I always joke that there'd be something in here that's the letter I or an eyeball or something, and that would be the blaze. And then once you see the blaze, I don't think you should be like right on top of it or anything, but once you see it, like you spot it, that's when you look down. So you're not directly at the blaze, but you're at a spot where you could see the blaze. So that's why I thought it was right in here. Like I said, it supported what he said about 500-foot searchers and 200-foot searchers. There's a line about being a pirate and being on Gardner's Island, and that could refer to the town of Garland, Gardner. I live near Garland here. One of our factories is in Garland. But he talks about being on Gardner Island, and right there's Gardner. So those were hints that this is what. And you got the Roosevelt Arch. You have the gateway to the park. You have the Boiling River going into the Yellowstone River. There's just a lot of things here. And Gardner, like I said, that line is just kind of out of place. He's talking about keeping secrets and stuff, and then he just says, well, and then I dreamed. I don't know, it just seemed kind of forced. And like I said before in all my other videos, if something is forced, to me, there's a clue hidden in there somewhere. So that was my solve. It was rather simple. Like I said, a lot of people had figured that out. I don't think anyone searched here recently. And then I got worried because I think it was like Cynthia or somebody was noticing the names of the mountains, like No Place for the Meek. You have Man's Foot. There was a mountain here. There's the Sphinx. The other thing about this area, there's Sliding Mountain, and Sliding Mountain West. I think it was Cynthia who spotted something on the side of the mountains, and she thought that could be the blaze. So I know people were searching in this area. But one other thing is that he talked about, this was the area where him and I can't remember who he was with, if it was his brother or friend, but this is where they rode horses, and this is where they ran out of food and got lost. This is the Gallatin, if I'm pronouncing that right, National Forest right here. There was something else around here. There's Sheep Mountain, No Place for the Meek. But yeah, this area just seemed to be about right. And I was heading here probably, I planned on coming here the week after it was found. I mean, I was all set. I had the money set aside. I had my week time off work. And I was all excited about it. And then he announced it was found. So I would have been checking out this area. And it would have taken me a week, so I would have spent a couple days here, and then I would have spent a couple days down in Yellowstone, camping and stuff. So it would have been a fun trip. I probably, I wouldn't have been disappointed if I didn't find it. I didn't expect to find it. And as it turns out, I wouldn't have found it because this is Montana and it's not Wyoming. So anyway, I thought I would throw that out there, and I'm going back to the video. So it's been 3 hours. No, not really. But so that was my solve. And like I said, it's very simple. And I like that it's simple. And, Forrest Fenn's never done a hunt before. And he was like 80 years old. And I'm sure he thought it would end quickly. And he wanted it to be simple. He wanted it to be found. And to me, it was that simple elegance that drew me to that solve. And I had lots of other solves. I had a Colorado solve. I didn't have a Wyoming solve at all, but yeah, after hearing that this was found in Wyoming, or that it was hidden in Wyoming, now I don't know, I don't think I've ever really looked at Wyoming. I did look in Wyoming, as a matter of fact, because the place where he got out and walked at the car, and the place where the buffalo dragged the car into the creek, it was my opinion that car might still be there, because I've been in the woods lots of times. Where I grew up in Michigan, I used to fish in this little pond, and you had to walk through woods to get to the pond. And there was a Model T in the woods, and no rhyme or reason on how it would have gotten there. It's surrounded by trees, surrounded by bush. And then when, the pond was always murky, and one year the pond cleared up to be crystal clear water, and we don't know why. But when it did that, we realized there was another Model T at the bottom of the pond, and we figured someone drove it out on the ice and it melted through the ice or something, because it was right in the middle of this pond. And and also in out by Leadville, there's a trail you can hike on, and there's this old Buick, like a 54 Buick or something, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Someone was trying to drive it down a fire trail, and it must have broke down, and they just abandoned it there. So I know cars get left in the wilderness. So that wouldn't surprise me at all that there's remnants of this car out there. But anyway, it was just simple and elegant, and like I said, a lot of people search there. And but what I couldn't find when I was researching this and using my jelly bean method, I couldn't find anyone that searched there recently. So that made me think. At first a lot of people searched there and they couldn't find it, and then later on people have that idea, and then they see a lot of people search there, so they immediately give up on it and they don't go there. And that's kind of a trap you can fall into, because 100 people could search there and not find it, but it could still be there. Anyway, that's my thought. That happened in the Michael Stather hunt, where people searched one area over and over again. And it was when my son searched the area, he actually found the token. So I know that can happen. A little box in the middle of the woods uh, can be easily overlooked by a lot of people. And like I said, the trail, the 500 foot and the 200 foot, it just everything seemed to fit. And then to say, yeah, I felt like a pirate on Gardner's Island, and I'm like, wow. There you go. And so there's just a lot of things that fit there, and I don't know. I just thought that was a really good spot. And then there was things like, if you get into the rabbit holes, he went to a conference and he was close by that area, and it could have been the day he hit it. But apparently now it seems like he went out the other side of Yellowstone. So yeah, I can't remember where I heard that story from, but yeah, there's some kind of story where he was at a conference and he said he left the conference to hide the treasure. So it was just like an hour drive or something, but something like that. I'm not a 10-year searcher, so I don't have all these stories memorized. I only started this year, so it's funny that this all happened so fast. But yeah, so that was my solve. Excited about my watch. Let me show you again. Look at it. It tells the time and the date, and it tells the seconds if you hold it down. And if you go to the date and hold it down, it'll tell you what day of the week it is. I know, I love it. I'm stoked for this watch. I don't know why, but I'm just so happy to have it. I just got to find a better band. I like the band. It kind of fits the green and brown, fits the gold, but like I said, I can't live with this shortness. Anything else going on? Still haven't reached 26 reviews. Still haven't reached 500 sales. Other than that, not much news. So I'm going to go. I'm going to take my blood sugar level because it's been about an hour. And I'm eating more Mallow cups than I think I have in my life. And I got a lot of work piled up for me. I actually got to go into the plant tonight. I don't like going into the plant because it's very, very dirty. And the computer they sent back is so dirty you can't even read the front of it. It's just caked with, because this is a welding facility. They grind and weld, and this metal dust gets on everything. And this computer came back just caked, and I don't know. I guess I gotta take a look at it, and they want it to go back out, and I'm like, oh, I don't even want to touch it. It's just so bad. We've had stuff like this come in before, but usually I go out and get it, and then we stop at the loading dock, and there's a place where we can clean the computers before we bring it in, and no one did that. Day shift. Oh. But anyway, so guess I'm going to do that and figure out what my next step is. But anyway, that was my solve, and